Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into what I honestly consider the ultimate internal technology. We're going to explore the mind of a man who literally visualized the modern world. And I mean literally, long before it ever existed in physical reality.
Just think about this for a second. How did a man invent the future without drawing a single blueprint? It sounds completely impossible, right? But for Nikola Tesla, his own mind was an unbelievable piece of internal technology. It was far more advanced and honestly far more efficient than any physical machine he ever actually built.
You really get a sense of the all-consuming passion that fueled this genius when you read his own words. He said, "I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything."
Okay, let's dive into this. This is Nikola Tesla, an inventor who stood completely apart from his contemporaries. What made him so absolutely unique was his ability to build, test, and run complex machines entirely in his head. He rarely ever needed physical models or blueprints to see if a design was actually going to work. Back then, the purely experimental method was just the standard. Inventors would rush out to construct these incredibly crude physical models, getting unavoidably tangled in the tedious details of the apparatus. Talk about wasting energy, money, and time, right? But Tesla had what we can basically call a mind lab. He built, improved, and balanced his machines entirely within his imagination. The results were identical to physical testing, but instantaneous, and of course, zero cost.
And this brilliantly illustrates his exact mental workflow. It was a rigorous four-step process. Step 1, conceive the idea. Step 2, build it up in the imagination, making rapid improvements. Step 3, and this is the crazy part, he would actually run the device in his mind and check it for wear and tear. If a mental turbine was out of balance, he noted it. Only when he saw absolutely no fault did he move to step 4, putting the final product into a concrete physical form. He claimed that in 20 years, there was literally never a single exception to his devices working exactly as he pictured them.
But how do you even develop that level of mental control? Well, let's look at his youth. What we consider his ultimate superpower actually began as a truly terrifying affliction.
As a young boy, his mind was tormented by these intense, visceral sensory nightmares. He suffered from blinding flashes of light that literally marred his sight of real objects. If a word was spoken to him, the image of that object would present itself so vividly to his vision that he couldn't distinguish whether what he saw was tangible reality or just his imagination. If he witnessed a nerve-wracking spectacle, a vivid picture of it would just thrust itself before his eyes in the middle of the night, completely defying all his frantic efforts to banish it.
So how did he survive this mental onslaught? He weaponized it. To escape these tormenting, repetitive images, young Tesla realized he had to continuously conjure new ones. When his mental reel of his immediate surroundings ran out, he began to consciously travel, entirely in his mind. Every single night, he would start on these mental journeys, seeing new cities and countries, meeting people, and forming friendships that he claimed were just as intense and real to him as the ones in actual life. He basically exhausted his affliction by building intensely real new worlds.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how this mental escape hyper-tuned his entire nervous system to an unbelievable degree. Later in life, when he was in Colorado, his hearing was so acute he could distinctly hear thunderclaps from a staggering 550 miles away. But during a profound nervous breakdown he suffered as a young man in Budapest, this sensitivity became a living nightmare. He was dealing with absolute extremes. He could hear a ticking watch 3 rooms away. A tiny fly landing on a table would cause a dull thud in his ear. Intercepted sun rays felt like literal physical blows to his brain, and a carriage passing miles away fairly shook his entire body. He actually had to support his bed on rubber cushions just to get some rest. He was completely overwhelmed by the crushing stimuli of the world around him. So how in the world do you solve an engineering problem that the greatest minds on Earth are calling impossible, especially when your own mind is so intensely overwhelmed? His professors had insisted that operating a motor without commutators and brushes, essentially creating a rotating magnetic field using alternating current, was the equivalent of perpetual motion. Completely impossible. But Tesla's instinct, it told him otherwise. The breakthrough came in the most poetic, dramatic way you could possibly imagine. He was walking in a city park in Budapest at sunset with a friend, reciting poetry. He knew entire books by heart, and as he was passionately reciting a passage from Goethe's Faust about the setting sun, the idea came to him like a flash of lightning.
In an instant, the absolute truth of the rotating magnetic field was revealed to him.
He immediately drew a diagram in the sand with a stick, but in his mind's eye, the images were wonderfully sharp, completely clear, and had the solid weight of metal and stone. He saw it so perfectly that he literally pointed into the empty air and told his friend, "See my motor here? Watch me reverse it." He was operating a phantom machine suspended in the air right in front of him, and that single mental vision, it changed the course of human history.
Let's scale this up a bit, because Tesla certainly didn't stop at alternating current motors. He applied his mental prototyping to the grandest vision of his entire life, the wireless transmission of energy and information, literally testing the boundaries of the globe itself. He envisioned what he called the world system.
So, the crucial point here is how eerily accurate his mind lab proved to be when forecasting the future. Look at his predictions for the world system from the early 1900s. The interconnection of all telephone exchanges, universal news distribution, secure and secret messaging, and the ability to listen to speech or music anywhere using an inexpensive receiver no bigger than a watch. I mean, he was basically visualizing smartphones and the modern internet over a century ago.
Now you might be wondering, okay, that's great for a savant genius, but what about us? Well, the incredible thing is that this mind lab concept is actually a learnable skill. The source material highlights a practice called image streaming. It's a systematic method to develop your visualization powers and open the third eye of visual thinking. It proves that anyone can systematically strengthen their mental imagery.
Let's move on and see how this builds a really fascinating bridge between Tesla's innate, perhaps even neurological genius, and modern, structured visualization techniques. It shows that you don't actually have to be born with blinding flashes of light to harness this exact same power of the mind. Take the deeply inspiring story of Mark II, for example. Blind since birth, Mark read about these visualization techniques and just started practicing them rigorously. By connecting to his subconscious mind, he learned to mentally picture an entire computer program in his head. He could literally see the code to find bugs without needing Braille printouts. He became a chief software debugger, developing a talent for visualization just like Tesla. The ability to run complex experiments in your mind is absolutely accessible to us all. Which brings us to our final question for you. What are you going to build in your mind lab today? Tesla showed us that the physical world is really just a reflection of the mental one. If you can conceive it clearly, test it rigorously in your imagination, and balance it before you ever touch a physical tool, there's literally no limit to what you can create. So close your eyes, start your mental prototyping, and I'll see you next time on The Explainer.